Was Tiktaalik a carnivore?
Yes, very much so. So this one really looks like a Tiktaalik mouth. What's interesting is when you mutate these genes in the laboratory or through natural mutation, you can actually tweak the body plan of organisms, kind of like what we're doing here to some extent, you know?
Okay, so in this case, the player is playing the role of the gene.
Right. That's pretty good. There's Tiktaalik head. And let's make it a little longer. Let's make it a little flatter.
It's as if Neil Shubin has a toolkit of genes, and as he works, Tiktaalik takes shape.
What do you want next?
I would love to put some limbs on this thing, or fins. Is there a limb that looks like a fin?
Yeah, just drag them out
Okay.
until they connect. Yeah.
Those would hit all the bone parts.
Yeah, this is really kind of close. It had the bone parts we have.
Okay.
And yet, it didn't have fingers, okay? But it had a fin webbing. So this is sort of approximating that.
It's interesting that something as versatile as the human hand could actually be coming from something seemingly simple as a fin.
Yeah, I know. That's what looking in the distant past shows you. And you find the context for the origin of many structures is utterly different from how they're being used today.
Sounds pretty tough there, doesn't it?
Tiktaalik has arrived,
Yeah.
As with other mutations, genes bring on the change, but the environment determines if the change will survive. 375 million years ago, Tiktaalik swam in rivers filled with fierce predators. Some over 16 feet long, bearing teeth the size of railroad spikes.
If you're living in a fish-eat-fish world, there are three strategies. Get big, because big fish eat little fish. Get armor, because that protects you. Or get out of the way, avoid the fight.
When Tiktaalik changed its fins, a whole new strategy emerged.
And it looks like Tiktaalik was getting out of the way. Because again, if you look at the structure of the fin, this is a thing that's built to do a push-up, to support itself on the ground, either in the bottom of the water or on the mudflats. So this is a creature that was clearly getting away from the fight, if you will.
One small step for fish, one giant leap for life onto land. Fortunately for us, a fish developed the means to move on land some 375 million years ago, giving rise to our terrestrial ancestors. What followed were countless design changes. But once on land, there were clear advantages for highly active animals. They needed new body structure, and few were more important than a retooled heart. Energetic bodies, especially ones with large brains, need lots of fuel and oxygen delivered to every cell of the body. This is where a plumbing system with a souped-up pump comes in. Every second or so of every minute, night and day, without fail for your entire life, your heart beats. It has to, or you're dead. The origins of the four-chambered human heart go back more than 500 million years to a simple pulsing tube in an ancient marine filter feeder. This is the moment when toolkit genes added complexity to hearts. Hearts have evolved into so many shapes and forms. Fish have 2 chambers. Amphibians and reptiles have 3 chambers. All mammals, including humans, have 4. With each increase, blood and oxygen flows at higher concentrations. Tissues produce more energy. A higher level of activity is sustained. But how do toolkit genes fuel evolution's capacity to re-engineer a heart? To answer that, scientists turn to a vertebrate relative, a sea squirt.
So these sea squirts have a heart as well?
Yeah, they do have a heart that lies right there at the base of the adult. You can hardly see it, but you can see the gut. That's this orange area, and the heart just lies next to it.
Don't let the simplicity of that adult deceive you. That's our closest living relative. It's a close relative of the vertebrates, and it has quite a respectable heart underneath that goo.
Close to the gut.
The real action is once again in the embryo, when the sea squirt heart is first developing. And here, toolkit genes play a key role. When the animal is barely 100 cells, toolkit genes tell 2 cells in the tail to remain behind and send another 2 cells migrating to the head to form heart muscle. Within a day, they start beating. During this process, C-squared embryos sometimes make mistakes, and twice the number of cells start migrating to form a heart. When they do, it might make a heart with 2 chambers, resembling that of a fish. And this could be a way evolution works to make more complicated hearts, enhancing animal life. Thanks to endless genetic experimentation, vertebrates changed from lowly filter feeders like sea squirts into the world's top predators. Of all the changes leading to the human body, the most significant may have come much more recently, when we shared the forests with our primate cousins. We are on the brink of locating the very genes that set us on an entirely new path.
Tomorrow, tonight's menu includes some...
Computer game designer Will Wright is learning about the toolkit of genes that evolution uses to make and remake animal design.
Nature's designing creatures through genetics, and in the game Sport, we're letting players design creatures in our editor. Nature has a tremendous amount of leverage where, with very simple little things can generate these amazing, diverse creations.
Once our line of animals had a body plan, with parts like hands, hearts, and eyes, we were on the road to becoming human. Yet the final mile was the most impressive. A massive evolutionary leap from chimp to hominid. From quadrupedal to bipedal, hind legs lengthen, forelimbs and shoulders shrink. Knuckle-walking hands morph into precision manipulators. Fur-covered skin goes naked. The brain triples in size. All this, yet just a tiny change to the DNA. In chimps and humans, 98.8% of the DNA is identical. It's close, but that 1.2% must make the difference. And it's there that scientists are finding the particular genes that shifted our course from chimp to human. As our ancestors started moving upright, they stepped up to a more strenuous lifestyle. It's the moment we became hunters.
So as Eric's running, he's doing a number of things which are unique to humans. One of the set of features that makes him different from a chimp, that enables him to run that way, is that those tendons elongated in human evolutions.
Scientists at Harvard want to find the key genes behind the ape-to-man makeover.
Why are we not chimps? First we became bipeds, and then later on we became runners, and we started sweating, and we changed our teeth. So it happened not all at once, in a series of steps. And so the trick is to find which genes changed when, so we can relate those genes to the fossil record.
Many different toolkit genes were probably involved. But the team is closing in on one, and it may have played a role in turning skin naked. Our primate cousins can only run so long before they must stop and pant, exhaling heat much like a dog. And that's because of their thick fur coats. Naked human skin has thinner hair and more sweat glands, allowing us to convey heat more effectively than any other mammal. Genes make skin repurposable. Recently, an ancient gene called EDAR, responsible for making scales on fish, turned up in the human genome sequences biologist Pardis Sabeti is analyzing.
I think it's quite powerful that the same set of genes that regulate scale in fish is, it's the same set of genes in humans that regulates hair, sweat, and teeth and under strong evolutionary pressure. It shows that there is a connection between them, and there are sort of common principles that guide evolution and genes that are adaptable.
Like the fin that's an ancestral version of our hand, our skin is the latest makeover of scales. And if the change allows the body to thermoregulate in the midst of intense physical activity, it's a crucial adaptation, perfect for hunting the big game. It can still be seen today. Kalahari Bushmen in southern Africa will hunt the kudu antelope without guns. Instead, they run, tracking and chasing the quarry relentlessly until it's too exhausted to continue.
As soon as you're on your hind legs, not only can you jog long distances after game and run them down as a new way of hunting, but you also have your hands free for manipulating your environment. You've changed the way you're dealing with your world.